No price talk and no Lambos. This is not another crypto podcast. Welcome to Ignition. I'm your host, Jillian, and each week we will be looking at the problems solved by blockchain. I'll be going deep with the people building the apps and communities which are changing the world around us. Welcome to EOS Dublin's Ignition podcast with me, Jillian Gotzel. I'm very pleased to interview for today's talk a man, a youthful man. He won't disclose his age. He looks very young, but he's done a lot of things. So, very senior man from all the way from Lagos in Nigeria. Munachi Ogu Eke. Am I getting your name right, Munachi?
That's about the most perfect I've heard. Someone from Ireland.
That's so cool. So, welcome so much to the podcast, Munachi. So I'm very pleased to speak with you. So tell me, you've been doing a lot of things, but tell me, when did you first discover blockchain? When did that come into your world?
Okay, when did I discover or when did I hear about blockchain?
And Bitcoin. So tell me about how the journey started for you.
Okay, I think it was back in 2014. So I think I was reading a tech publication and I ran into the word Bitcoin. They said Bitcoin was used to pay bills. I was like, Bitcoin used to pay bills, electricity bills back then. Didn't quite get it, didn't quite understand it. It seemed interesting, but I didn't dive too deep in. Then going forward, I started hearing of Ethereum, right? So after Bitcoin, a couple of years back, so this was 2014. So 2015, I started hearing about Ethereum. I didn't pay too much attention at that same time. Then I heard about the Ethereum fork because the DAO was hacked. So I think at that point, that's when it started getting interesting for me. So when I heard about the money that was involved, I was like, wow, so much money is involved in this industry. So fast forward, then I started learning about it. I started reading. It got to a stage where I discovered that, wow, this thing actually has so much potential, right? That was in 2016. And that's when I started my company, Cresset. So back then, it was actually very hard to get access, especially people that had Naira, to get access to cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum. Those that had it didn't know where to sell it. Those that wanted to have it didn't know where to get it, right? So at that point, I think I was already in a good position in the market. So I kind of understood the little nooks and crannies of how to liquidate, how to sell, how to buy Bitcoin. So I provided my OTC services, and that's when we officially started as an OTC, right? So we're one of the earliest OTC services in Nigeria to start trading Bitcoin. So for us back then, Bitcoin was something that many people used to make money. So people used it to invest in some schemes. People used it to do remittances, right? So Bitcoin was actually in 2016, it was very early days of Bitcoin in Nigeria. Some people had already started doing it previously, but 2016 was actually when Bitcoin actually came to adolescence. That's when the greater Nigerian population, as the early majority, entered Bitcoin, right? So, and we're in the market then to really help people to really navigate, buy, sell, and do more with cryptocurrencies. So yeah, that's my journey. So it started 2014. That's when I learned about it initially. Didn't pay more attention to around 2016. That's when we started our company, right? So fast forward to today, I'm one of the top OTCs in Nigeria.
Wow.
Even though
I think you started off with your trading volume at $50, and now it's like $10,000 average trading volumes.
Yeah, average. It's not that much when you compare it to the Western world, but in Nigeria, it's a significant amount of money.
It's a huge amount. And tell me, does Nigeria have? I mean, I've read Nigeria would have special needs in terms of, like, obviously inflation is such a big issue there, and there's a huge unbanked population. So Bitcoin fits in quite nicely, and the other currencies fit in quite nicely with your country. Would I be right in saying that?
Yes. So Nigeria's face, in fact, not just Nigeria, Africans generally face very big issues when it comes to currencies, corruption, when it comes to inflation, and the major issues even when it comes to remittances, right? So Africa has the largest remittance, let's say, transaction fees. We pay the highest in the world. It's most expensive to send money to Africa than anywhere in the world. It goes from about 9% to about 20% on some channels, right? And in some countries like Zimbabwe, where there's hyperinflation, the value of the currency, the online currency, is almost zero, right? And you see in countries like that, Bitcoin is playing a very huge role in the grand scheme of things. In fact, we have heard that Bitcoin has dropped like 60%. But in Zimbabwe, compared to their currencies, Bitcoin is at about a 300%, let's say, premium. So it's like 300% more than the value of what the Western one puts on it, you know?
That's mad, isn't it? It's hard to comprehend. I mean, I live in Ireland. We don't have hyperinflation. You know, we've got zero inflation or whatever. But, you know, I don't expect when I get paid that next week for it to be worth nothing. You know, that the money, it holds its value. I mean, we have other problems, of course. So this housing crisis going on here. But that's a frightening thought, isn't it? That if your local currency can be worth nothing.
Exactly. And it's very serious. It's almost the case that people don't even transact in the local currencies anymore. So they see a lot of Bitcoin transaction volume. In fact, Nigeria is number 6 in the world. We transact more Bitcoin. We sell more Bitcoin on local Bitcoin than most of in fact, all the European countries except the United Kingdom. Nigeria ranks number 6. We are directly under China. So you see the huge trading volumes that go through Nigeria to other countries because Nigeria is the gateway to transact, like sending remittances. So from Nigeria, lots of Bitcoin go to other African countries. Right? So it's like a gateway, and there's a lot of volume coming in and moving out. Also in Zimbabwe, huge volumes, because it's unlike where the Western world uses Bitcoin for speculative reasons, for investing. People actually use cryptocurrencies to actually transact and do things that essentially currencies their currency won't let them do. So buy and sell, daily payments and all that. So people use Bitcoin to do that.
Yeah. That's mad, isn't it? It's used as a currency properly and for transaction values, as opposed to say everyone here, they're all hodling like mad because they can use their own currency. So you're big into training as well, aren't you, Munachi? You like to educate people. How do you do that?
Okay, yeah. So our company, when we started off, we were a trading company, but we also discovered that there are other verticals in the market that really need people to actually look into. One of them is education. So people don't really understand what cryptocurrencies are. People don't really understand what Bitcoin is. And there's been a wave of Ponzi schemes that has gone through Nigeria. So people are very skeptical about. I think the rise of Bitcoin came very close to the fall of Ponzi schemes. So people just thought it was maybe a transition. So there's a lot of skepticism in the market. People are not quite sure what it is. So we stand in that position to really educate people about what blockchain, what cryptocurrencies are, what are their use cases, what are value propositions, how to enter the market, how to be safe, how to not be scammed, and all this. So education is a very big aspect of what we do in our company. And generally in the community, in the blockchain community in Nigeria, we are very keen on educating people about how blockchain and cryptocurrencies work, how to tell them that it's not just all about investing or making money from cryptos. You can actually use them as a means of payments, right? So it's very important to what we do that we educate people about what it is. So, it also helps with the business. When more people know about it, obviously, you get more people coming to the business with us.
And in addition to your OTC company, Chryset, you also built a payment gateway. Tell me a bit about that.
All right. So the payment gateway is called IntroPay. Basically, what it is it's a way for you to use cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin to interact with the traditional financial systems. So like e-commerce, like using Bitcoin as payments, using Bitcoin as remittances. So someone in the US or someone in Dublin maybe has family in Nigeria, right? He wants to send them money, but what he has is Bitcoin, right? He can use Bitcoin and push money directly to their bank accounts in Nigeria. So the gateway has integrated both the crypto and the financial end, has integrated it. So once you send in Bitcoin, will translate into the person on the other end receiving local fiat. Right? For us, it's a way for you to be able to do more with cryptocurrencies. Also, you can integrate the solution into your e-commerce store and collect Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies as a means of payment on your store or your offline store. Right? So
brilliant.
We are building a way for people to use their cryptocurrencies to do other things in society rather than just holding it.
Mm-hmm. It's an eye-opener, I have to say, to understand how you're using cryptocurrency as, say, to transact value. It's amazing. So tell me then, how did you get involved with EOS? How did you hear about EOS? What was the connection there?
Well, in the blockchain space in Nigeria, I will say I'm a quite prominent person. What that means is I get a lot of people sampling my opinions on stuff. So I got to hear about EOS from the general chatter EOS is a very popular blockchain, or it was a very popular blockchain, especially in the early days with the value proposition as the Ethereum killer per se then. Right. So when the buzz started going about EOS, always I've been very interested in decentralized application. And we knew the issues that Ethereum had at the time with scalability. So when the value proposition of EOS came, that it's going to be a scalable and a better, will I say, blockchain solution, it was something that was really interesting to me per se, right? So I got a couple of my friends together. We started talking about how we can leverage on this new technology, because there's a lot of value to be added to the Nigerian space in sense of the apps and general education about what blockchain is. So EOS stood out as a platform that we could use and leverage that. So we are looking into using the EOS blockchain to build, let's say, applications that can work for the community and also teach people, developers, because blockchain is not just going to be for our generation. We need to teach future generations about what decentralized application is and also build it. So it stood as a platform for people to be easily used to deploy apps that actually worked in real life. So when we said, okay, we could do this with EOS, we're not like, okay, fine, why don't we even just become a block producer? So generally, from the thinking of building stuff to going to a block producer, it just seemed like a good transition. So we started the EOS Nigeria community. It's one of the largest EOS communities in Africa, right? So from that place, we are using it as a good position to be able to push out education about what EOS is, get developers to understand how the architecture works and how to, build solutions or dApps on the architecture, and also use it as a platform, use the community as a platform to spread love and teach people about what blockchain is. So, and we have been doing that to the best of our abilities over the months that we have been operational.
That's so cool. And you're working with kids, disadvantaged kids. Tell me a bit about that project.
Yeah, so it's the Humane Love Project. is an offshoot from EOS Nigeria. What it is we have looked at the community, and for EOS Nigeria, it's not just about building decentralized applications. Also, we want to be able to use EOS to spread love and move out of, for our motto is building more than blocks, right? So we just don't want to build blocks, we want to build societies, we want to build economies, we want to spread love, right? So the Humane Love Project is just one of our outreach projects that helps. We're looking to help, orphan children and children in disaster, in locations in Nigeria that have gone through maybe war or something. So what we want to do is show them love on Christmas Day. So Christmas is a day for love, but this for sharing and happiness. But these people, they don't have parents, so no one to show them love. So we are stepping in that position. We want to feed them. I'm going to send them to school give them provisions to go back to school, and stuff that will really make happy, not just not just about building technology. We also want to build the community. So once people understand that, hey, look, it's not just about blockchains are those social construct that can actually use to help society, not just from a technological aspect, but also from a social impacting aspect. And that's what we are doing.
That's so cool. And it's great too as well, because I've actually said to my local school, although the principal hasn't taken me up on it, let me come in and talk about blockchain. Let's teach the kids about blockchain. And I know what you're doing is actually feeding them and getting them to school. But because have you heard of also the thing called Code or Dojo? It was set up by an Irish man, a Code or Dojo. It's basically learning coding classes for kids. It's all free. It's all volunteer based, whatever. But there's been because kids who learn to code, I mean, because it's like learning a new language. If children get to learn a language or coding at a young age, they're much brighter. It's exactly the same as fluency in languages. So these kids are producing apps and stuff that are amazing. So the same way with your children that you're feeding, which is most important, obviously, getting them to school, but you educate them because that's the future of the kids, and let them come home to the parents and say, there's this thing called blockchain, mom and dad. We should get into it. We should learn about it.
So for us, it's not just about feeding children. So what we have done most of the months, we have actually every month or every couple of months, we go to universities. So we have this EOS, campus outreach / our EOS hackathon. We go to student communities. We have gone to about 3-4 communities right now. We have done programs to teach people about EOS, how to start building on EOS, and at the end of the day, we cap it up with a hackathon. So we get them to build a simple application or a simple decentralized application on the EOS blockchain. So education is a very key aspect of what we do. Obviously, I can't say everything we do. We do a lot of things on the back end, on the front end. We support a lot of, let's say, conferences, outreach. We even help local, app developers in the sense of we give them technical support, how we can, even if it's a little bit of staking into their projects, those ones that need RAM to run stuff. So we do a lot of outreach and education per se, because we go to these schools, these communities, especially universities, where they have like sound developer, developer communities, and get them to pitch EOS to them and show them how it actually works. And a lot of them are excited. Most of them are part of our internship program, because we're also building an internship program where we get people to where they learn about EOS at the same time build applications on it. So yeah,
that's
cool.
What
we do.
I love what you're doing. I really do, because it's so interesting. I interview a lot of people, but from Western world, developed world, so it's the US or around Europe, whatever. And the blockchain projects are very interesting, but very few people are actually using cryptocurrency to transact value. But obviously in Africa, it is a thing, and it makes a huge difference. And people who are sending back remittances, etc. It is a real issue. So I love to hear that how you're helping that. You have your OTC company, but you also have your payments gateway and your education, which is of course so amazing. So I hope you're a block producer for EOS, which is amazing. I hope you go up the chain, you get some more votes. That'd be kind of cool, and actually make some money from it, which would be excellent. And if people want to find you, Munachi, where can they find you? Where are you, online or meetups or whatever? Tell me your addresses.
I'm at LinkedIn, very active on LinkedIn. Munachi Ogu Eke, that's just me out. I'm on LinkedIn. Not so much.
Munachi, can I spell your name if you don't mind? Because it's just for ease of people to find. It's Munachi and Ogueke. So that's your name. Where else are you? Are you active? Do you have a website, or do you?
Yeah, I have a website. You can go to Cryset, CRYSET.com. That's our OTC. You can also go to EOSNigeria.io. That's EOS Nigeria.
Brilliant. Listen, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I know you're a very busy man. I wish you every success going forward, and I love your education and the kids getting fed for Christmas. That's a real good thing to do. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That's great. That's Munachi Ogu Eke from Cryset and EOS Nigeria. Woo, I got it right.
All right. Thank you.